I wanted to ask about distraction and procrastination. And I think I heard you one time talk about getting rid of Netflix and TV and stuff like that. It's not something that a lot of people talk about, but it seems like there is a part of me that's drawn to ignorance, and I want to go and numb myself, and watch 4 movies back to back and like just procrastinate as if like it was a homework assignment or something like that. So that's all. And I think I told you this once, when I fall off the wagon, there's like it's a lot harder to get back on. It's like I want to stay in ignorance. Part of me does. There's something within my system doesn't want to rest in presence, because once I finally rest in presence, I realize how long it's been since how long I've been ignorant, how long I've been thinking. And yeah, I think that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Graham.
Thank you.
The Netflix wagon. Yeah. Which way is it? You fall off the wagon, actually, don't you? Does that mean the wagon is the straight and narrow, and the falling off is... So it's the Netflix road, isn't it? It's the self-inquiry wagon that we're falling off of, and we're sort of falling off the self-inquiry wagon, the wagon that takes us home, and we end up in the dusty, dirty streets known as Netflix and television and the such. And just so I don't get sued by Netflix, this is equally true of all, multimedia platforms. I don't know any others. What are they? There's Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, YouTube, the paid ones, the free ones. Well, I'm sure that no one else can empathize with anything you've gone through, because I'm looking around the rest of the faces. This looks like a very holy bunch of people, and I don't think anyone else would even, I think everyone's looking down at you now thinking, gosh, poor Graham. No one else has ever done anything like that, I'm sure. I don't think so. So I'm sure you're on your own with this, Graham. I don't know if anyone can help you. I don't think anyone has gone through this before.
I went through it yesterday, just so you know. I'm so grateful for you asking the question. Thank you.
Don't tell him. We're meant to be holier than him, remember? Ah. Okay. So we've all been here. And it's the nature of ignorance. And every one of you will be here. Every one of you will be here until realization, until liberation. This is the way it will be. Ignorance, an objective phenomena, will seem to have a insurmountably strong grip on you. That even if you're able to resist for a certain amount of time, it will come back with a vengeance. So you might have a good day or a good week or a good month. And then next thing you know, you've been watching Netflix for a month straight. Literally, something like this. And again, we can substitute Netflix with anything, any worldly pursuit or indulgence or addiction. And the reason it's so difficult and the reason you want to watch Netflix is because you want to be happy, isn't it? If I said, look, every time you watch Netflix, it's going to feel like 10 people have punched you in the stomach, and then you're going to start vomiting violently, and then it's going to, feel like you've been run over by a car or something, and you're never going to watch Netflix if you think that's going to happen to you. But the reason we want to watch Netflix, and again, substitute anything else in. Reason you want to, I don't know, go have a drink, the reason you want to watch a movie, the reason you want to listen to music, the reason you want to go for a meal, the reason, whatever it is because you want to be happy. And our mind projects the future, imagines, oh, when I engage in this activity, I will feel happy. In the case of watching a movie or something like that, it's like a vegging out. You can relax, you can let go, you can chill and veg out. Other people might have a different notion of happiness. They might think, oh, I can go dancing and I can feel energized and activated, or I can go to a party. Or they might say, I can get that job promotion I wanted. So your mind will project what you think happiness looks like, and it will go towards that. Now, remember Ramana's teaching, there's nothing wrong with seeking happiness. This is our nature. It is our nature to seek happiness. This is actually our homing beacon. We're actually looking for liberation. This is why you're watching Netflix. You're looking for liberation. But the problem is, and Bhagwan points out, the reason is we look for happiness in the wrong things, in the wrong place. Our mind has only ever known objects. That's the nature of the mind. Remember, objects means anything you perceive, thoughts, feelings, experiences, as well as, the normal worldly objects, the subtle objects as well, that are private to us. The mind only knows objects. So when it's wanting happiness, it naturally imagines various objects that would make it happy. The reason we search for happiness in objects is because we've forgotten what we are. We've forgotten that we are the source of happiness. We've forgotten that our own very nature is happiness. It's like you're made of a substance, happiness in this case, but you don't realize it. So you look for that substance elsewhere. And you are made of this substance, and you are an infinite, abundant source of this substance, this happiness that you're looking for. But you look for it outside, and you just find little bits of it here and there, scraps of happiness here and there that are not fulfilling. But the mind doesn't know that happiness within. So the mind cannot imagine looking for it there. So you have to contemplate these truths, or I'd recommend you contemplate these truths. What will actually make you happy? When you've watched your 4 movies back to back, or whatever it is, has that helped you? Now, you might say, yes, it has helped me in some ways. I was stressed and now I'm more relaxed. So it's not all bad. So we can acknowledge how things in the world may help us. And that's good. But then if you're looking for liberation, if you're looking for unending, eternal bliss, an unending, eternal happiness that never disappears, which is, of course, what we're all looking for, then where are you going to find that? And you're right, it is a procrastination. The ego is procrastinating its death. On some level, it knows that when it turns within, it disappears and dies. And it's afraid of that. It doesn't want that. What the ego wants to do is think. The ego wants to continue. The ego is thought. Thinking and ego are the same. So the ego just wants to continue thinking. It wants to continue thinking. And what can it think about? There's only one thing the ego can think about, and that's objects. Ego can only think about objects. So it will keep on thinking, and it will keep on extroverting your mind towards objects. It's the greatest trick that has ever been pulled. The greatest trick, the greatest conjuring trick. The greatest conjuring trick. You know what? A shorter way of saying conjuring is con. Con is short for conjuring. It's the greatest con. Is that thought appears and makes you believe that it is you. So you listen to this voice in your head and you think it's your voice in your head and you listen to its guidance, but it's not. This is a trick. This is the devil. The devil is that thought, the thinking voice in your head that tells you how to be happy. If you listen to self, God's voice, if you listen to the voice of Bhagavan, of Guru, it tells you to ignore thinking. You listen to Bhagavan's silent voice, non-conceptual, non-speaking voice, the voiceless voice. Ultimately, this is the only way. Now, the good thing about self-inquiry is once you start doing it regularly, it builds momentum of its own. And if we do it not as a chore, not as like homework, but if we do it with love, if we actually just abide in happiness to start off with, make it something you enjoy. Think of it like a holiday. Finally coming home. You will realize that the bliss bestowed through just being is infinitely greater and infinitely more healthy as well than the happiness gained through various objective phenomena, which our intuition tells us is unhealthy. You know it's not healthy to veg out in front of movies, as an example. And we would have all have done this. Everyone here has done this, maybe with movies or maybe with something else. So we all know exactly what Graham is talking about here. Because this is the nature of ignorance. It's because you've forgotten what you are. When you let go of the idea that you're a body-mind, when you let go of the idea that there is a body-mind even, when you let go of the idea that there is a real world, if you are open to the concept or the notion there is no body, actually, there is no mind, and there is no world, there's only blissful consciousness. And all else is illusion or Maya. This is the shortcut. Everything else, to a greater or lesser extent, perpetuates the ego. Perpetuates thinking, perpetuates this great con this great conjuring trick, this great illusion that the thinking mind is you and it's somehow guiding you. You have to dispose of this thing. If you're interested in liberation, not in your daily life, not in your practical life, but if you're interested in liberation, you've got to dispose of the mind. Turn away from thinking as quickly as possible. The very thing that we lean on in our practical daily life, we have to throw it away as quickly as possible, turn towards the self. This is why Bhagavan tells us in Who Am I? I can't remember the exact phrasing, but something along the lines of, as a thought arises, the instant the thought arises, to turn away from it and destroy that thought immediately without even allowing it to rise up and flower and bloom and multiply and thrive. Before, it's like a plant, imagine, or a weed, which says a weed. It's like a weed. When it just emerges, this is when you uproot it, before you allow it to gather strength. Because the weed of the mind, a little shoot comes up, but if you let it go, if you let it grow, within a second, it becomes a whole tree. And then within 2 seconds, it's become a whole forest. Within 3 seconds, it's become a whole universe. This Maya erupts and multiplies with tremendous pace and velocity. So Bhagavan's advice to us in the text Who Am I is, as soon as it rises up, to cut it off before it has the power, before it has gained momentum, to turn it back into the source where it is destroyed in that furnace of being, bliss, self. So it's a radical teaching, radical prescription, a radical solution for a radical problem. Now, I'm sure there are more practical things you could perhaps do in your own life to mitigate procrastination, to lessen it. And I feel like I'll just trust you, as it were, to figure that out for yourself, Graham. I'm sure you can. You could figure out what steps can you take in your life. And everybody on this call, if you're thinking of something that's affecting you similarly, what steps, little steps can you take in your practical life just to help yourself in these things, to avoid the temptations? For me, I got rid of the TV. Now, are there some disadvantages to not having a TV? Yes, there are. But that's what I decided to do. For me, I decided not to buy sugary things and leave them in the house because I know what I'm like. At a certain time of day, I'll be rampaging through the house looking for sugar or something. Half an hour earlier, I would have made a resolution never to eat sugar again in my life. Then half an hour later, I'll be like, like some kind of junkie looking for a Mars bar or something. I don't know. So you do things as much as you're able to mitigate the things in your life. And these will help you definitely, definitely. If you can change your environment to a smaller or greater extent, this will help you greatly. Maybe it's the people you hang out with. Maybe it's the clothes you buy. Maybe it's the places you go. Maybe it's the stuff you have around you. Maybe it's the house you live in or the flat you live in. You change these things. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe you need to be away from the city, or maybe you need to be in the city, depending on who you are. So all those other things are good too. And it's up to you, each of you, to figure that kind of stuff out for yourself. And it's not always easy. But self-inquiry, I promise you, if you start doing it with happiness and love in your heart, and if you invoke Ramana's grace at the beginning of self-inquiry, boy, that helps. Makes the whole thing happy and pleasant. And the seed of beingness grows. And we realize this is the only place we can find true happiness, is in our very own awareness, consciousness, being. That's it. That's it. Nowhere else. This body, this mind, this world, these three are all one Maya. They're all total fiction. They're not real. They don't even exist even now. It's a total fantasy. It's a total illusion. So the direct path just goes straight beyond Maya. And the indirect path messes around a bit with Maya. So do a bit of both maybe, or choose one. But until you go beyond Maya, this will keep on happening. And even if you get over one thing, then something else will come up, until you do self-inquiry. You think you've got a problem with food, eventually, after many years of battling, you sort that out, then suddenly you'll have money problems or something. Yeah. Or you'll have a health problem. Or you'll have an issue with a friend or a relative or something. Maya will keep on conjuring up things for you to desire. And Maya will keep on conjuring up problems in your life. This is what she does. Ultimately, she's actually helping us. She's testing us, tempting us. She's making our resolve for self stronger.